All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rechakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations be unto the Akim, out here pushing this gospel and truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is the brother Quanawath coming back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. And through the spirit and power of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and His only beloved begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, whose true name is Yahweh Shai, right? Beginning with the elder apostles of Great Millstone on down, right, to the elder bishops, the elders, the Akim, right, brothers such as myself, right, who we believe through faith are the true prophets, right? We are the true prophets, right? We've been telling y'all for years, right, that World War III was coming. And now we're here, right? Now you are about to see World War III unfold, right? After so much of you people denying, right, that World War III was going to happen, that America was going to be involved. And here we are, right? It says right here on the foxbusiness.com, it says Trump administration taps automakers to boost weapons production in World War II style push. Right? Going back, right, to that wartime mass production. Right? Which again ultimately shows you the time that we are in. Let me grab this precept real quick. This is Ecclesiastes 3 and verse 1. It says a time for everything. Right? There's no such thing as coincidence, man. Right? As we read right here, verse 1 in the KJV, it says to everything, right? To everything. There is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Right? There's a reason for everything, man. You know? There's a reason why Trump is ultimately, pushing these automakers, right, to start producing, weapons. Right? You got like Lockheed Martin and other, different, military, arsenal, producers. And so, they produce bombs, they produce all different types of shit. Right? So why leave it at them? Right? Why not, leave it at them, because they're producing it. No. Because again, World War III is being, heightened. Right? War is constantly, in the mouth of these different officials, man. And that's because we're in a time of war. Dropping out of verse 8 being the point. It says a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And we are not in the time of peace, man. There's been constant introduction of different ceasefires. There was just a ceasefire that was introduced between Israel and Lebanon. But that's not going to last, right? This is 10 days. There was a ceasefire that was introduced between America and Iran, and here you are, Israel fucking broke that ceasefire immediately, 12 hours into the ceasefire, right? Not even full 24 hours, right? Because we're not in the time of peace, right? Trump, I want to say about a month back, maybe a few weeks back, he tried to ultimately introduce, a board of peace, and a huge portion of his allies were not on board with that, right? The UK, France, right? Spain, right? A whole bunch of America's allies were not on board with the board of peace because we are not in the time of peace. We are in the time of war, right? Let's get to this article, right? It says the Trump administration is turning to automakers and U.S. manufacturers to ramp up weapons production in a World War II style push, a Pentagon official confirmed to Fox Business. The Department of War is committed to see, there you go, the Department of War, right? Because remember, they switched it from the Department of Defense to Department of War, right? From Secretary of Defense to Secretary of War, right? It says the Department of War is committed to rapidly expanding the defense industrial base by leveraging all available commercial solutions and technologies to ensure our warfighters maintain a decisive advantage, right? That's what they're saying, right? They want to be able to have the advantage, right? And they're saying for defense purposes, but we understand that this whole situation, right, that's going on, America and Israel are basically causing these, starting these wars, right? Again, going from Department of Defense to Department of War, right? They're on the attack, right? It says the department is aggressively pursuing and integrating the best of American innovation wherever it resides to deliver production at scale and drive resiliency across supply chains, right? It says senior defense officials have discussed producing weapons and other military supplies with top executives from several companies, including GM, Ford, according to Wall Street Journal, which cited people familiar with this discussions, right? So they're turning to these car makers, car producers, right, where they produce cars, so on and so forth. And see, these automakers previously, right, had helped, right, with World War II. You know, these are the same ones. So again, right, we're going back to that war mentality, that warlike mentality, that war, the time of war, right? This is the outlet reported that the Pentagon is considering having the companies use their personal and factory capacity to ramp up production of munitions and other war materials as conflicts in Ukraine and Iran continue. Right, it says GE Aerospace and vehicle and machinery maker Oshkosh also reportedly held talks with defense officials, according to the journal. The discussions began prior to the conflict in Iran more than a month ago, officials told the outlet. So see, this is something they've been talking about, right? And you best believe they're going to do it, right? You best believe they're going to do it. See, America was getting their ass kicked, right? Iran is still whooping America and Israel's ass, right? By these drones. They can produce drones at alarming rates and overwhelm the Iron Dome, the so-called Golden Dome, right? They can, overwhelm it. We've already seen it. Salak, right? We've seen them do it time and time again. See, America can't keep up. So, of course, they're going to have to, turn to these automakers, right, in order to mass produce munitions, mass produce, any and all transportation. Because, see, in World War II, it was transportation, right? The vehicles, those little Jeeps, right, that they were using, right? The tanks, the jets, right? All these things were being mass produced, here in America, right? Maybe not so much as as the actual jets and tanks and so on and so forth, as much as it was munitions and so on and so forth, but still nonetheless, right, that was being mass produced, right? It says the talks come as the military seeks to increase production of munitions and tactical hardware, including missiles and counter drone technology, the report said. Defense officials said accelerating weapons production is being treated as a matter of national security, according to the report. Officials also asked companies to identify barriers to taking on additional defense work, including contracting requirements and challenges with the bidding process. So there you go, right? It says the Pentagon's recent budget request of $1.5 trillion includes funding for munition and drone manufacturing. In a statement provided by Fox Business, Oshkosh said it brings the full strength of a global enterprise combining scale, financial stability, and advanced flexible manufacturing to efficiently ramp production while delivering consistent quality and reliability for both commercial and military customers. We'll read this last little bit. It says, we are committed to regularly evaluating how our available capacity can meet the Department of War's evolving needs. And we are proud to support national defense and the service members who rely on our capabilities and technologies. Right? Again, talking about defense, when in reality, America and Israel are the ones who started this damn war, man. They started it. Right? This isn't, this isn't a defense tactic. Right? They're starting this war, right? And we understand that in the scriptures, it tells you, right? Let's go ahead and grab it, right? This is Jeremiah. Jeremiah was at 50 and 45, if I'm not mistaken. It says right here, Jeremiah 50, verse 45, it says in KJV, it says, therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. They have taken against Babylon, which we know Babylon, right? It's talking about this Babylon is talking about America, right? Which, the elder apostles, right? They were doing a lesson on it. I want to say, a couple of days ago, that a lot of these different, so-called Christian scholars, right, are starting to admit that America is Babylon the Great, right? It says, in his purpose that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And the least of the flock is going into the small hats. It's going into the 1948ers, right? Which we know that, Trump has come out and stated that he is, one of the small hats, man. That he is a JOO, right? It's been proven. So America and Israel, right, being headed by, the JOOs, is the least of the flock. Hey, they're the ones that are causing all these problems, man. Drawing out these different nations, and ultimately the goal is to what? To shoot missiles, ICBM nuclear missiles upon America, right? To destroy this place. This is what Yahweh Bashim Yahushua had purposed for this place as well as Israel, right? The difference between America and Israel is Israel will be built back up, right? But America will be destroyed forever, right? We are in the time of war, right? Matter of fact, we're in the time of Joel, the 3rd chapter, coming to pass, right? This is Joel 3 and verse 9, KJV. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. War is being prepared, right? It says, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up, right? And here it is, right? It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. And really this is, dealing with, these different nations, right? These different nations, outside of America that are ultimately, now focusing on their military might, right? Like Iran, right? Mass producing these different, these different drones, right? These different nations, right, are starting to mass produce these, their cruise missiles, their ICBM nuclear missiles, so on and so forth, right? You had, Russia came out with the Poseidon, right? You have China that came out with the Orbital and the 61, But see, even now you have America doing the same thing, right? Showing you that we are in the time of this precept being fulfilled, right? Full blown, right? It says, verse 11, it says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Right? So this is the time that we're in, man. It's irrefutable now. Right? More than ever. Right? Let someone sit there and say, Salak, right? Let someone sit there and say that we're not in the time of World War III. Bullshit. Right? Why are they going to be mass producing these different munitions and stuff like that at these automakers, right? GM, Ford, so on and so forth. Why would they do that if we're not in the time of war? If we're not in the time of World War III, why would they be doing that? Come on, man. Let me close out with this. This is Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14. It says, the second woe was past, which is talking about World War II, right? The second woe was past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And it's on its way. It's here. World War III is here. you know, in order for, the fullness of World War III to come to pass, which is the use of those ICBM nuclear missiles, we understand that, the RFID micro CHIP, right, has to be made mandatory, right? But that's coming soon. And Lord will, I'll do another lesson, right, touching on, what a brother had touched on, that they're putting CHIPs in breast implants, man. You know? So Lord will, I'll touch on that. I think I ended up, reposting that lesson. If not, then Lord will, if the Lord will, I'll do a lesson on it, man. But these are the times that we're in, man. The last two major prophecies are coming to pass, you know. So it's either you're gonna repent, or the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shah is gonna bring destruction upon you, man. And that's the bottom line. So with that, Lord will is edifying. Lord will is straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem, Rachak, Wadash, double honor, said the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders, great millstone. Till next time, say shalom.